Hello and welcome to another Yakuza Like A Dragon 100% trophy guide video. In this video we're going to talk about the aggressive executive trophy. And for this trophy you need to get 10 properties on the property management minigame. So, to start with, I'm going to link you to Shocking Blue's guide of how to get from rank 100 to rank 1 step by step, because it's a really good guide and it covers pretty much everything that you need to know. What I'm going to cover in this video is probably the shareholders meetings and how to win them, and maybe a few little tips here and there. But in terms of getting the right properties, getting the right people, making it all work out, choosing when something comes up on the screen saying like, do you want to invest in this? You don't want to invest in any of them other than the one that is to do with the famous mascot, because that increases your services and finances. It like doubles them or something like that. I think it might be 5 million or 10 million. You'll see it on the screen anyway. Essentially it will increase the amount of money you get, which is great. So you've got an add-on air, pumps in a load of money. So for the business itself, you're going to want to follow Shocking Blue's guide. It will go through everything step by step. If you fail bits of it, just keep going with it. You will get there in the end. I certainly did, so it does work. In terms of the shareholders meetings, essentially red beats green, green beats blue, blue beats red. So if you keep that in mind, every time you go into a shareholders meeting, you want to have your funds as high as possible, because that gets you a bonus. You want to have your team happy, basically, so you can keep them happy. They request like certain financial things. Just give it them. It'll keep them, happy, and they'll keep making money for you, essentially. And then there's one other category. But essentially, as long as you keep your workers happy, you keep the buildings, you buy the correct buildings and you keep them in the blue, that is essentially what you want to do. So for the shareholders meetings, when they come around, you want to always use Omelette, who is the little chicken. For some reason he's great, he's a blue type. He literally he's cheap, he's effective, and he annihilates. So what you want to do is, whenever there's a red on the opposing team, use Omelette and blast them, and the multipliers will go up and up and up and up. There's a gauge on the bottom, which is your sort of, it's not really a health bar, but it's like the amount of mana that you can use. It's the only way I can explain it. So basically, if you lock onto one of them and they're red, use Omelette. You want a green and you want a red in your team as well, just in case there's a blue or a red on their team. So you want to have one of each colour, and then that way you can counteract whatever comes at you. But you want those colours to be the lowest amount of number that you can. So there's a little square, not a square, sorry, a hexagon with a number in it next to the faces. And if it's a 5, that means it's going to take 5 off your mana at the bottom. And you want to just keep blasting them, blasting them, blasting them. Sometimes I get the multiplier up with whichever one it is, if I've got a high number, because I've got 10s there. I wasn't really au fait with how this worked when I was doing it, so it was kind of awkward. But if you get the multiplier up to 2 and then you start using Omelette, he's going to do a decent chunk of damage anyway, even if it's not the correct colour. So essentially what you want to do is get the cheapest executive you can get, but in 3 different colours, and then one is sort of a wild card, so whatever they throw out, you've got 2 of them to throw at them. There's a little gauge on the right, which is when you press Y, so that'll come about as time progresses. That just deals damage, basically. You just apologise and it deals damage, and that's about it. But it's really hard to explain this one without like actually showing someone and doing it for them. But yeah, you're trying to take their life bar down, and then that will be that, hopefully, and you'll win the shareholders meetings. And that's the aim of the game, essentially. But before you start, I think there's... Yeah, okay, so you got net worth, you got manage employees, and you got period sales to date. So if you have a good period of sales, you'll be up 10%. If you have a good management of employees, which should always be plus 10%, because you can just keep them happy with money. Net worth you'll only get at the end when you're worth a shed load of money, when it's not really relevant. But yeah, you can always get the 10% on the middle one, and on the right you can get 5% maybe if you're lucky. But I hope that kind of explains a little bit about shareholders meetings. I will link you to the guide for Shocking Blue, because it makes a lot more sense when you go through it, so hopefully it will. That's all I've got to say about that. So thank you very much for watching. Any questions, drop a comment and I'll try and answer it. Cheers and peace out.